I had Chinese food. I think it's apropos. And my fortune cookie says, before the beginning of great brilliance, there must be chaos. Well, looks like chaos to me, huh? You know, I just took the box and dumped all the parts out here on the table and got to kind of reorganize and sort through them and figure out what I want to do. The Definitive Dave came up with these nipples here for the pulse line. Thank you very much. As usual, he bails me out. Also came up with a better oil pump. And now that I've got the pulse line nipple, I can put it on the intake boot and handle, and it'll start looking like a saw. So I guess I'll start there. Now, understand, once I've gone through this the first time, I will probably have a better idea how to do the second one, and the third one, and the fourth one. You're learning with me. This is not a how-to video. I don't think I need a cookbook. For that matter, I think I'd be bored crapless if someone had me sit through a how-to video, nut by nut, bolt by bolt, you know, wrench by wrench. I'd rather sort of like get an overview on the videos and then I can figure out the details for myself. I've worked on saws a while, and I think most of the people who my channel is geared towards are already guys who've built things, whether it's motorcycles, cars, lawn mowers, I don't care. You know, again, I kind of open up these packs and they have certain kinds of things in them. And this is that bumper that I was looking for, is my bet. Put these right back in there. This little guy right here, that's going to go right in here. And it's kind of a little harder rubber than I like, so it's going to be a pain in the neck. Got it in there. I have this sneaking suspicion that getting that damn rubber bumper in there is going to be the hardest operation on this entire saw build. Well, before I get too far into this, let me get the intake boot on. You can tell that has to go up kind of like that, and the reason that you can tell that is, remember, that's going to be where the pulse, this hose goes to the pulse nipple in the case, brings it to this point, to that hole, goes to there. So obviously when that comes through the handle, that's going to have to match up with that one there. Usually you can get it pretty close by matching up this tab to this right down here. They kind of give you a clue. This may be it for this one tube. I can't tell you how many saw builds this damn thing has seen. And one of the reasons I put that 1184 in there is because when you're playing this game right here, you can actually still move. You know, you tighten it up and get it good and tight, but you can still turn it a little bit while that stuff is not sticky, you know. Once it sets up, you're going to have a tough time getting that manifold off. Now, one thing about steels that I've learned is on these smaller ones, you can't get the carb on unless you disassemble the handle. And there's a torque screw right down there. What is this thing? It's a T20 right down in there that you got to get out in order to take the top of that handle off. And then after you've done that, then you can put you can put the rubber in here and get the handle on. And the definition of success is the pulse line goes down to the nipple, and this comes up through the plastic on the handle. So let's do that next. This kind of goes in there. And I suggest not doing what I did. I would suggest putting your pulse line on the cylinder side first and on the handle second, because now the only way I can get to it is with a pair of these guys. So, my bad. And then while you're here, kind of stuff that through there. Stuff that right in there, using relatively blunt objects. If you've done that correctly, those holes line up. And if they don't line up, your saw is not going to run. Oh, as far as tools you need, T27. And you need a T20. But you know one of the most important tools for these darn kit saws? Scissors. Like the 660s, you got to kind of push these through the rubber. These shorter ones go on these anti-5s. You got to pierce through the rubber. So there's the handle. I'm going to get the intake stuff on. Like Husqvarna's, you have these rings that sort of support on the inside of that rubber, and you've got these little depressions, and it's pretty obvious where they go. They go right next to where the mounting studs are. And the other thing you have to do is put this, and again it's pretty much geometrically obvious where that goes. And then after that goes the carburetor. Now, line over there before you put the carburetor on, like that. And that's going to go right there. You just leave that for now. But now I can put the handle back together, I suppose. And again, there's some common sense involved with this. Now, there is a spot right there which captures this return spring. And of course, the pivot point goes into these spots. So yet again, this is one of those kind of a common sense kind of a thing. All right. So I've turned it in here, kind of brought it around, hooked it right here, everything tied together. And now this right here, there is that hook has got to go underneath, like that. And once that's there, it holds everything together. Now, then you got to put that screw back in to hold it all together. It's that one that's the T20 goes in the back of the handle here. And do not let go until you've got that all together. Because if you do, you're going to be very upset. Throttle working. Might as well just put the fuel line on right here on here. So there's your handle. Had the 3 T27s on the anti-vibes, which you now can put those caps in. Get them out of the way. One there. Intake manifold through the handle. The 2 metal pieces inside and outside to support the rubber. And then the carb goes on. Choke rod. And I can only guess how it goes on. Alright, so what I did was I took that in and pushed it in here first, and then I snapped that in second. Putting that choke rod in there, I found it easier to take this in and kind of go through the hole and then snap this side in. And for the ignition, you got the kill wires. One's got to go in there, obviously. You know. And then the other one goes in here so it can make a connection. I'm not happy with the way that fuel line pinches underneath the carburetor, but you know something? There isn't much I can do about it. It's pretty much where it has to be. And right there on the the big 660s, they had a rubber grommet, and I don't see one on these. I'm gonna how you do it. I'm gonna put the wires underneath the plug wire. You know, I think the plug wire goes right up through there like that. That's the only way it makes any sense at all. Either way, no matter how you do it, it's a real tight fit. It makes that plug wire get pushed up against the case. Now let's get the screws in there first, just so I can. You set the clearance with this. It's a simple tool. I don't know, a little more than 10 thousandths thick. You sort of set it down in there, and then turn one of the magnets around. Then it will suck that ignition right in. So there's the ignition. While I'm here, flippy caps. On these steels, most of them, there's like a little ball and a little channel that you sort of hook it on and pull it up tight, and you know, that's how it doesn't get lost. Snaps right in there. So I think what you do is you sort of turn that way, it snaps, and you push it down. What do you think? What the hell is that thing? I'm gonna guess it goes down there like that. Well, I couldn't find my hairspray, so soap's gonna have to do, and let me see if it works. Not as good as hairspray. I'm going to go over on the floor and push it in with a little force. I'm a heavy dude, I don't want to break the table. I just put the butt of the hammer on it and just let the weight do its job. Basically, this is like used to call the kids shape recognition. Oh, look at that, it slipped right in. I mean, it makes sense to go there, right? I guess we're going to find out. Next thing I want to do is get these wires plugged in where it makes sense to me. Awful long wire. I think what they wanted me to do is take it to the other side of the carburetor and bring it around. So I think that's what we're going to do. So I've got to do something here. It's not right. That's going to get sucked right into the flywheel. I don't like that at all. See, that's why I thought there should be a grommet there. You know? Doesn't it look like there should be a grommet right there? There's got to be a piece of rubber or something to hold that down in there, don't you think? I think this does it. I don't know if that's the right way of doing that. Somehow I doubt it is. Let's get this cover on. Hand tight right now. And put on the side cover here just to see if I can make it disappear from the stack of things to put on. Okay, more shape recognition. So we got the pull start on. The one thing I do not like is the way those wires are. I am not pleased with that. That can't be right. So I need something to go through there, I think, to hold those wires in place. And that piece of rubber I just stuffed right there might be it. I think for the time being, that's going to do the right thing until I figure out what really is supposed to happen with those wires. I don't see anything readily obvious that says they're supposed to be there, like these right here. But they look like they go in there. You know? So, to me that means they probably do. There is absolutely no way I'm going to use one of these. So, I've got one of these. I hope it fits. And I believe that's what goes there. And shape recognition again. Yeah, look at that. Perfect. This must go up here. Well, as usual, brute force prevailed. So, put that socket underneath there and tap it with a hammer and boom. Just like that. Now, I'd set the gap on this. You know, probably would have set the gap at, I don't know, 30 thousandths. It looks like it's about right. And I'm getting quite impatient. I think what we'll do is we'll do a tune video at some point. Spark plug goes that way. Let's see if this cover goes on yet. It's like the big ones, you gotta put the choke down. This is gonna capture that dam in the back like that. And that goes, look at that. Ah, now I understand. See? See, you've got these two things right here. And one of them, and I'm gonna guess, look at that, look at that. That just snapped right into place. Put that tab in and push it right down. And it looks like that was designed to do that. Now this rubber piece, I think its sole purpose in life is to kind of protect the, yeah, see that basically just pushes right into the adjusters, you know. And then this guy here, that snaps right in, and then of course this captures back there. And there you go, there's the cover. I screwed up my hand pretty bad on one of these rods, pulling on that spring. It snapped and I went back and smacked myself so freaking hard. I see it's got one of these goofy linkages that are a problem. I may have to replace this linkage with a different one. But this is roughly the same kind of a, arrangement that the 660 has. And basically this guy here, you got to put that on first. Put the little spring on. You really do. You got these little clips. Let me tell you what, I have, at times I have forgotten to do this, and it's actually easier to do with a clutch off. So I'm going to pull that off for now. Get those clips on first. The spring, I guess it really doesn't matter which way you put it on. So I don't know if you saw what I did, but I hooked it underneath the lever there, and I pushed it over the top. Kind of snapped. Get this stuff out of the way. So I'm suggesting putting the handle on first. Settle that down in there. And then you got to align the hole there, and this whole system has to go over. Settle it right down, and then that has to settle down into its hole. And this has got to go the rest of the way. I do not like that not having a pin there. That's really bothering me. Okay, so you see how that sits there in the order of events. I put this on first, set that in there where it lines up with a hole, then hooked on the spring, settle it down in there, and then let this pin come up through that hole. Now, since I'm pretty close to having it settle in, I'm going to go over to the other side and basically pull there it goes like that. Now, there's a special screw around here somewhere. It's in the bag all by itself, right here. This goes in like this. And like pretty much everything else, it's also a T2027. And that goes pretty tight. Still free. Alright, now that's on. This is settled down, right? Now you got to get... God, I don't like the fact that it doesn't have a pin there. It really, really, really bothers me. I'm going to come up with a concept to pin that. But in the meantime, just to get through the video, I'm going to put this clip on here last. And I said I was going to put these on last. I don't know. Maybe I'll put them on now. But basically the way you put these on is they go from the outside in. And the best way to tighten these is to get some washers. 2, not 1. Kind of set them on there like that. And then you can take the bar nut, bring it down and give it a crank. You don't have to get crazy with this stuff. Oh, we're hearing tool noises in the background. I modified one of these slightly. It's just a standard automotive brake tool to install these. And the idea is that hook, you have to make it a little bit more narrow than as it comes delivered. As delivered, this is so thick that it's very hard to remove it from underneath the spring once it's connected. But basically by kind of narrowing that down a little bit, I didn't do anything here, but you probably ought to take that and blunt it. Then I can go like this, and that's how I put the spring on, and squeeze it, push it down to where the spring is connected to that linkage, and then you have to wind that out. And that's why I had to narrow this a little bit, so it actually get out from underneath that spring and not pop it off, and then tap the spring down and it goes bing, it's on. What I'm going to do now, might turn the camera off, is I'm going to use a Dremel tool, cutoff wheel, to make myself a pin so I can use this band as it is, you know. Take that drill and just cut a section off the drill. That's what we're going to do here. Boy, you better have your glasses on for that tool. One thing when you have these little rotary tools, you know, I know this is common sense, but never let the plane of rotation, imagine that being the plane of rotation, be towards you or towards your eyes. Always have it where, should that thing frag, come apart, pieces are going somewhere other than your direction. I know, it's common sense. So that's all I did, is I just Dremel tooled a drill for that. Cover. And I'm going to set that clutch right down in there. The drive wire is right there, so there it is. It'll snap right in. First time we fire that up, it's going to rub that plastic to fit, you know that? Clutch, bearing. How many times we got to do this? washer clip. Do that for now. That's an OEM. I don't want to mess with it, is the point. When I get further into the debugging of the build, well then I can go back and put the other one on, but for now I just want to use that. I want to get the saw running today. I'll do a subsequent tweak and tune where we go back and revisit the chain adjusters. Here's the shield that came along with it. Oh, I don't know if I cut that hose back some. Okay, so the bar oiler just deposits the oil out the end of that hose, and I cut it back. Bucking spike. The shorter screw goes up on top. And the longer one is used down here. They give you these little nylon lock nuts to put on there. My shop is not complete, so I'm kind of resorting to a bag full of tools. It's sort of my travel toolkit. So what's left after the buck and spike? I think just a handle, right? And then we can try to put some gas in this thing and see if it'll actually run. Alright. Took a little effort, but there it is. I believe these longer screws are designed for that. Put it on the side here. I'm taking these two OEM screws here for the bottom. So from what I can tell, I think I have enough of a saw to test. Probably end up putting that on. Definitive Dave got me one of those. I put a plug in for that. I had to get some OEM screws to finish because I didn't want to use these things. I didn't see the sense of using those. I've got an OEM chain adjuster, and I used a Dremel tool to build a pin for the end of the chain brake. So, and also what I did was, this is what the spring should look like. The one that came with the kit had that go straight across the top. It really couldn't get down and get a bite. So I took the one that came with the kit and bent the end way down. I've got this kind of waiting when it pops off. I didn't use this. See, this concept would work fine for handles. I have no idea what this is for. I think it's time to put some gas in this thing and see if it actually runs. I'm going to put a bar and chain on it because I don't want the clutch to go flying off. It's fun watching them go running across the ground at 15,000 RPMs. So, camera off until bar and chain is on. Alright, the only thing that doesn't work so far on this is the kill switch. It didn't kill. So I need to go in there and see what's wrong with that. But other than that, there's a running kit saw. And I'm going to end this video here because I want to do a tweak and tune video on this saw. And I mean, literally you heard the first 60 seconds of its run life. To summarize, actually a nice looking saw with reasonably nice looking parts. The pieces that I did not like in the kit is a couple of the screws, you know, going into the plastic for the anti-vibe. Just use handle screws for that stuff, you know. The chain brake spring didn't have the right bend, although it seems to work. And the chain brake linkage makes that chain brake handle have to go over the muffler, which, I don't know, does it matter? Right now it works. I'm not happy with it, but it may just have to stay the way it is. The pin at the end of the chain brake band, now I showed a little video of that. I just took a piece of a drill and put it in there. A few screws. I plugged the decomp. I didn't bother with the decomp on that. Wasn't quite happy with the way the plug wire routes. It kind of jams up against the case, but we'll see how that lasts. But the bottom line is this, is yet again, for not a lot of money, you get a fairly serviceable kit that will produce, I think, quite a capable saw.